Hey, good morning. This is Professor Michael Young. This is the first of our meetings. I'm using Screencast-O-Matic, and what's happening is I have to admit I'm not that good at it. It's the first time I used it. I'm having a few difficulties, but that shouldn't hold us up. I'm going to get started. This is in this first recording, what I'm going to try to do is, first off, I'm learning how to use Screencast-O-Matic. And second off, I'm going to talk about our course. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. Some of you might have seen me around campus. As I mentioned to you in my last little information session, I'm going to turn 57 years old next month. I've been doing this is my 31st year of teaching this particular course. Well, not this course, not just this course, other courses too, but I've been doing this for quite a long time. Before I took this job at App State, I spent 19 years in Hong Kong. So I've traveled to almost every province in China. So as you might guess, I'm very excited about what's happening in China right now. It's another thing that's happening in the world, in addition to the COVID, in addition to the political upheaval that we're having right now in the United States with the upcoming election and all the controversy. But my former home, Hong Kong, recently got, they passed a security law, and my son still lives there. My ex-wife still lives there. So I still have a lot of ties there. I have a lot of friends there, so I'm following what's happening in Hong Kong very closely. But enough about that. Let's talk about our course. Now, if you'll bear with me, I'm trying to figure out how to use it. All right, then. So the first thing we need to do is go over the course syllabus, a little bit about the course structure, and so forth and so on. This is a syllabus. It's been posted up there on As You Learn. I want to go over a few things here in case you have any questions. Normally I am in Peacock Hall, room 4093. But as you can see, background here, I'm not in my office. I'm at home in the suburbs of beautiful downtown Boone. Hopefully, let's hope that before the semester is over, the pandemic will disappear and I'll be able to go back to my office, and you'll be able to visit me there. But in case not, then we'll be meeting this way. This is my phone, my office phone. If you call and leave a recording there, I will get it immediately through my email. Right now, I will have a few appointed times where I will set office hours. I'm not going to put that on the course outline at this point because, I did that last semester. Nobody showed up. I ended up wasting a lot of time. So right now, I'm going to do it by appointment. But please, I don't want you to feel intimidated if you want to come and see me. I love talking to students, especially MBA students. I like hearing what's going on in your life. And, you can come and talk. We can get to know each other. I've got a lot of experience, especially overseas, and later on, I'm going to have some information about some scholarship programs for overseas study that I'll be posting. But of course, if you want to talk about the course and talk about your project, you want to talk about how you're doing on exams or whatever, please feel free to come and see me. Textbook we're going to use is Hitt, Ireland, Hoskinson. This is now in its 13th edition. Been around a long time. I love this textbook. It's very much, it's research-oriented. It's very up-to-date. These guys are top scholars. I know a couple of them quite well, and so we're up to the 13th edition. Now, I think all of you guys are going to go through Cengage Unlimited. For some reason, I'm having a hard time. Hopefully, you've already got it. But I want to put the link directly on our As You Learn page. I'm going to do that right away. I got in touch with Michael Weldon, who's the Cengage representative, earlier this week. We're going to try to set that thing up. But, I don't know. Everything is kind of up in the air. As you guys know, the As You Learn crash last week. There's just lots of crazy stuff going on, and so we're having a bit of technical difficulty. In addition to that, I'm going to have some other stuff that I'm going to post on As You Learn, readings and exercises, and I've already been posted up there. Let's talk a little bit about why this course is so interesting. I'm biased. I've been teaching this course for some time, and I've taught lots of other courses. I've taught a lot of economics courses. For a while, I was an economics professor. Yeah, don't hold it against me. Yeah, I like to call myself a reforming economist. I don't think you really get over it completely. But the joke is, anytime I feel like making a simplifying assumption, I get on the phone and I call another reforming economist and we talk ourselves out of it. No, economics is great. It's a great logic. But you know what? It's not realistic. The simplifying assumptions mean that we're not dealing with the real world. This course, we get to deal with the real world. And we will. We will be up to our eyeballs in messy stuff. Anything can happen. We get to play like we're CEOs and find out what we can do to make companies perform better. Yeah, you ever think about it? We've all heard these statistics before. Companies usually fail, right? It's not a secret. Most companies, these numbers change all the time, but most companies, about 4 years after they're begun, are no longer in existence. A lot of the companies that are in existence, I'm sure some people in here may have some business experience, may have come from a family business background, but you know it's not easy. A lot of times you're just barely getting by. So, you know, that's a pretty harsh reality. It's tough. It's really difficult. I mean, it's really difficult to start and run a business. However, and this is what makes this interesting, lots of companies actually do well. And some of them do extremely well. You know, right now we're in a very peculiar time where just yesterday the S&P 500 erased all of the losses that have occurred since COVID, back in March whenever we had that crash. But you know what? Some stocks have actually way outperformed. And we're still trying to get our head around why this is happening. You know, the FANG stocks, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, all of those companies are just, you know, they're doing extremely well. What we say is sustainable competitive advantage is the term that we use. And so, back to our course. Did you ever think about this? Most companies fail, but at the same time, some of them do well. Some of them do phenomenally well. Elon Musk, 4th richest man in the world. He came from nowhere. In just a short time, he's built some companies that, at least on the surface right now, time will tell, but they seem to be doing very well. Is technology part of that? I don't know. That's something we might ask ourselves. So this course really comes down to, why is that? Why is it that some companies do exceptionally well in the face of a very harsh landscape where most people fail? It's a desert out there. So we look at the environment. We look at the firm's internal resources. We began looking at their strategies. We look at cases. We look at what the research tells us, because there's been quite a bit of research done now that talks about that. So basically, that's what this course is about. A little bit of the objectives. I'll let you go over this on your own. I think it's pretty straightforward. The structure of our course. Well, I like asynchronous, and I think especially for MBA students, asynchronous works out better. We're going to see how this works out. That means that we don't have to meet at the same time for most occasions, right? For most things. We might have a few things where we will have meetings. But for the most part, I think it'll be in this format. I'm going to post these videos and you can watch them on your own time. We're pretty much pushed into that situation whether we like it or not. I think we all read about what happened at UNC Chapel Hill yesterday. They tried to have some courses and so forth, and then they quickly went back to an online format. Let's hope that the virus disappears. But realistically, that's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to get worse as the flu season comes along. So we'll probably be doing a lot of this sort of stuff. Okay. Our assessment. Normally I have class participation as a larger portion, especially for MBA class. For my MBA classes, I normally like to let the students do most of the talking. However, in this situation, we don't have that luxury. So the class participation portion of the grade is going to be rather small, keeping it down to 5%. And a lot of that's going to have to do with the group project. We're going to do a peer evaluation. Let's see, at the end of the semester, we will do a peer final. This should be grade. I'll change that right now. Okay, we are going to do a consulting project. This is a real live consulting project. I have a student who's one of the better students that I've had since I've been here at Appalachian State University. Her name is Wan Kai Wan. She goes by Tia. So Tia Wan. And she graduated 2 years ago. And she moved to New York. And she started her own company. She was working for a startup, but she's a real dynamo. So while she was working for this startup, she started her own company. And it's called Palapod International. If you want to, you can go there right now. Palapod.com. It's an app. It's a virtual entrepreneurship app. And in the meantime, she hired a graduate. I had a student who graduated. I've been in touch with Tia all this time. She hired a graduate, an undergraduate student who just graduated in May, Kayla Bowman. So there are 2 App State grads working there, one MBA, one undergraduate. And so I think this is great for us. I think it's really win-win because this is a real company and they're having real problems. They're at the start-up. They're at the fundraising stage now. The company's been up and running. They've got a product. Right now they're pushing it, trying to promote it to different universities. So what we're going to do is, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to send you your groups, and each of your groups will be assigned one of these companies. Some of you will be assigned App State. Some of you will be assigned to Babson College, which is in Boston. It's a top university in terms of entrepreneurship. Some of you will be assigned UC Berkeley, and some of you will be assigned MIT. Then we're going to have a 3-part consulting project. And the first part is a specific plan for marketing the product. The second is going to be for retention. And the third one is going to be network building and improved utilization for Palapod International for your assigned university. I'm going to get that up hopefully before the week is out. As you can see, I'm struggling here with a few technical difficulties and a few other things going on, but I hope I can get that done before the week is out. Got a typo here. Save that. All right, so more about that later. Okay, we have 3 quizzes. These are going to consist of multiple choice and short answer. Most of this material will come from the textbook, but it will also have some other stuff that will be included in that. That's going to be in the schedule, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. Then we're going to have some additional group activities. I'm going to give you a few things that you can do in your individual groups. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. Please bear with me. I'm making it up as we go along. For the last component, this is a big part. This is one thing that really sets the MBA apart from the undergraduates is you guys, I'm assuming that you're here for a reason. You have a company. You have an objective. You have a career. You might have a family business. You might be thinking about starting a company. It might be a company you worked for. But what we do at the individual project, we don't have an exam. We don't have a final exam. Instead of a final exam, we do this individual project. And again, the individual project is structured in such a way that it allows you to use these skills that you've acquired in this course to work on the company of your choosing. All right. So if you're wanting to go work for Tesla, I just pulled a company out of a hat, out of midair here. But let's suppose you want to go work for Tesla. Then you can do your project on Tesla, in which you will be doing some sort of environmental analysis and developing recommendations. And again, this is a win-win thing. It kills two birds with one stone. I'm seeing how many cliches I can throw into this little anecdote here. But it kills two birds with one stone, meaning that it does the assessment, and at the same time, it allows you to learn something about a particular company that you're interested in. See what I mean? So let's suppose that you do go to interview for Duke Energy. I had a guy, I pulled that one up because we had a graduate, 2-3 years ago from the MBA program. He wanted to work for Duke. So he did his individual project on Duke Energy. So then when he went into the interview, he had already done a lot of work and he had a lot of background information, so he was loaded for bear. They asked him questions about Duke Energy. Bam, he was right on top of it. He knew the answers to their questions. Not only that, but he could say, hey, I've got some suggestions here. Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about that? This is something that he had developed in his individual project that allowed him to be better prepared for his career at Duke Energy. So I'm going to ask you to think about very carefully how you choose the company you're going to do for your individual project, because, do it on something that's useful for you. So on the one thing, you'll do a better job if it's something you're intrinsically interested in and motivated to study. And for a second thing, it gives you all of this stuff that you can then use as you go and pursue and launch yourself into that career. So the final thing we need to talk about is the schedule. I think it's down here. This is also on your syllabus. This week we are going over Chapter 1. I'm going to get those videos posted before the week is done, I promise. And then next week we begin talking about analysis of the external environment. And then the week after that, we begin talking about core competencies, which is really analyzing the structure of inside of a company, finding its sources, if they have any, of sustainable competitive advantage. Then we have our first quiz. It's going to be on chapters 1, 2, and 3. That's going to take place on September 8th. I'll give you a specific time for that later. Then I'm going to give you some time to work on the Palapod Project Part 1. All right? And then we're going to have the Part 1 of the group Palapod Project due on September 15th. September 17th to 22, we begin talking about business level strategies. These are some things you may have heard about or may not have heard about. But the idea behind business level strategies is, okay, let's suppose we're in just one business. How do we compete in that particular business? Let's suppose we want to make toothbrushes. How do we attack the toothbrush market? Do we try to be the cheapest toothbrush around? Do we try to have specific features, maybe sensitive teeth? That this would be called some specific differentiating factors. Maybe we would want to attack the electronic toothbrush market. It depends, right? And so after we've done our analysis of both the external and internal environment, we'll talk about the best strategies. That's business level strategy. That's that topic in section 4. And then we talk about competitive dynamics and rivalry. We're going to talk about here very soon. I'll talk about competition. And smart managers actually would like to avoid competition. Specifically price wars. Price wars don't do us any good. If our objective is to maximize profits, then to get into a price war, to get into a very competitive battle with a competitor, doesn't make sense, right? It's not going to help us to achieve our objectives. But sometimes we have to, so that's what we talk about in that particular topic. And then with this topic, the 6th topic, which is from chapter 6 in your textbook, corporate level strategy. Okay, what if we want to make toothbrushes and something else? What should that be? Should we make toothbrushes and soda? I don't know. right? Probably something related. We're going to find out in just a moment. That's probably something that should be related to toothbrush that we have synergies with. Keyword in this particular topic is diversification. Should we diversify? If yes, what should we diversify into? Those are the types of questions that we ask. Then we have our second quiz, and then we'll have the second part of our group project for Palapod, right? Then we go into the last set of content. First one is mergers and acquisitions. Should we merge? Mergers is a major strategic move that a lot of companies make. We're in a wave of mergers right now. Mergers tend to come in waves for some reason. The current wave of mergers is different than previous waves of mergers in that a lot of the mergers are taking place not for traditional reasons, but for new reasons that I have to be honest, we're still trying to understand this new economy, which much of it is virtual. So a lot of mergers are taking place, I believe, because of data. It's not because of traditional synergies of being able to produce something better or cheaper because of market power, but a lot of it is because of data, especially in these Silicon Valley companies and so forth. A lot of those are due for data reasons. Anyway, too much on that. Let's jump right into the next topic, which is international. International is something that I'm very interested in. If you had a chance to look at my CV, you'll realize that I'm very passionate about what's happening in China management, and how Chinese companies are emerging and so forth. I have some papers under review right now on Chinese management structure. So we'll talk about international. And the last thing we talk about corporate governance. Does anybody know what corporate governance is? Corporate governance is it's a relationship between shareholders, boards of directors, and top management teams, usually headed by a chief executive officer or CEO, and that interaction among those players that sort of set the strategic direction for the company. All right, so that's going to be the last topic that we cover. Then we'll have our third quiz. Then we will go into, again, time to work on the Palapod project. We'll have the final component of the Palapod consulting project submitted. I'm going to get that up there hopefully today. And then we go into individual project. I've reserved a couple of days, well, actually a couple of weeks for you guys to work exclusively on your individual project. And this will be where you're working on your own, remotely, trying to come up with strategy, analysis, recommendations for the company of your choosing, right? So, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. One thing I'm going to ask you to do is that if you do have a question, that you ask it in a discussion forum and not send it to me privately. In fact, if you do send me a question privately, I may move that to the public discussion. So, that's it for our first meeting, you might say. I want to stress one more thing, guys. I know we're under a lot of stress right now. Not just you guys, but also your professors and everyone else. These are extraordinary times. So I want to stress that this course, your MBA 5750 course, should not be another thing that you stress about. I don't want that to happen. Because I'm going to be very flexible. I'm going to try to make sure that we make the most of this situation. I'm going to work very hard to accommodate any special needs and make sure that everyone graduates, or at least everyone passes this course. Make sure that everyone gets the most that they can out of this and launches your career in the best way possible. So, yeah, but please go easy on me because, as you can see, I'm struggling. I mean, I was supposed to have this done yesterday, but the As You Learn went down. I tried to upload to YouTube. I had difficulties and so forth and so on. You don't need to hear about that, but just the point is that I'm struggling too because this is all new to me. Although I've been teaching this course for a long time, it's the first time I've done it completely online format. And it's not so easy to teach an old dog new tricks. Okay? So, with that, onward, confidently into the future, with confidence and courage, knowing that everything is going to work out. So, with that, I'll see you next time.